So I'm going to tell you a little about Upgrade Available, which is a series of art projects and now a book about what I call upgrade culture, the perceived constant need to upgrade our electronics and recordable media, and how it impacts our experience of time. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now with you. Okay, so the project is divided into 4 distinct timescales, and the book begins in the shortest time frame, which I call technology time. The short cycles of time between the upgrades we perform to our software and our hardware, technology time. The project began on my first trip to India, when 2 important things happened. I visited my first e-waste processing plant, and when I returned, my computer was stolen, and I had not backed it up yet. So the only documentation I have from that trip was on my iPhone. My iPhone was filled with the casual, seemingly random images I had snapped along the way. Pictures of flowers and bugs, odd items in the market, meals, curious signage, videos taken from the open window of moving trains, of holy cows blocking traffic, of women on motorcycles with babies wrapped in their backs. I don't have any of the more calculated documentation, as it had all been taken on my professional camera and stored in neat files on my stolen computer, but I have scads of videos of street scenes in that vertical 9:16 iPhone ratio, a now familiar format and vernacular. Those images pervade my impressions of that trip. The loss of my computer's memory bank altered my own memory. The juxtaposition of seeing the e-waste on the ground and then having my memory impacted by the loss of my computer led me to investigate the clash of these timeframes, that of technology consumption and long-term memory. These videos here are from a project called Burnouts, which emphasizes the difference in timescales between us, the mappers, and the mapped, in this case, the cosmos. These animations of constellations are no longer included on official star maps because mostly we can no longer see the constellations due to light pollution. So from there, I started thinking about lifetime and how we store our memories throughout our lifetime. There's me on my first birthday. This was a Super 8 film that was then transferred to a DVD player and many forms of digital movies after that. I started photographing the collections of friends and neighbors of their personal media collections, many of which were obsolete, so they'll never see them again. They'll never watch them again, but they're still important to them. So then I began to think about how this impacts the scale of an institution like the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. I began working with the archives there when I started my fellowship at the Art and Tech Lab. How can we maintain a cultural narrative for the course of multiple human lifetimes when the upgrade is always available? Technology time runs interference to saving things for the scale of institutional time. I photographed and worked with the ephemera in the institutional archive, which contains every imaginable media format. And I also started to investigate institutional architecture. I began to photograph obsolete technology embedded in the current and past LACMA buildings as a way of thinking about how the technology of today will play out over time when the new LACMA buildings are complete. I thought this was a good time to look at that as the LACMA buildings are being upgraded. Another part of the LACMA Fellowship was an introduction to scientists and engineers at design companies and technology companies around the Los Angeles area. And I started a dialogue with scientists and engineers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab who were thinking about space-time. How can we envision technology that can explore the expanse of space and time and potentially travel light years away from us when we're dealing with the material scales of technology time? During this ongoing conversation that I've had with them, I've worked with the group at JPL called the A-Team, with whom I developed ideas including a 200-year operational spacecraft concept, as well as a communication system that augments living trees to act as a kind of mega antenna that can communicate with our 200-year spacecraft, allowing technology time to transcend, hopefully, to space time. And here is a model of that, that antenna on Mount Wilson a couple months ago. You can see LA in the background there. So this is the basic sort of arc of the narrative of the artwork that I've been making for years, and the book. I had traveled around the world to witness the aggregate of our electronic trash being buried in the crust of our planet. I had asked neighbors to dig through their basements to tell me about how they preserved their memories in dusty boxes of magnetic tape, warping from water and wear. I had transported boxes of ephemera from a museum to an academic guerrilla lab, worrying with technology old enough to negotiate it. And in the end, I found myself at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, where I found my answer to technology time in trees. They were here all along. So yes, we have a book that tells this story in much more detail. There's the front cover and the back cover. Here's a quick flip for you through the book.